My name's Carmen, and I never thought a single Instagram post could flip my life upside down. But that's exactly what happened one sunny morning when I stood next to Ms. Deborah Lopez, the director at Allen and Company, both of us grinning as she handed me a plaque for my promotion to department head. I snapped a quick photo, posted it with the caption, "Big day. Promoted to department head at Allen and Company. Hard work pays off," and didn't think twice. Just another career milestone to share with my small circle of followers. I had no idea it'd be the spark that brought my past crashing back into my life. At 26, I'd clawed my way up from an entry-level gig at Allen and Company, a marketing firm in Columbus, Ohio, to running an entire department. It took 5 years of late nights, endless pitches, and enough coffee to drown a horse, but I did it on my own. No handouts, no favors, just me, proving I was enough. That meant everything, especially after the childhood I'd had. I was still riding the high of the promotion, organizing my new desk with its fancy nameplate, when my phone buzzed with a number I didn't have saved. My stomach dropped. I knew it instantly, my mother. 8 years of silence, and now she was calling. I let it ring, my hand frozen over the phone. 8 years since I'd walked out of that house, promising myself I'd never look back. My mother's voice, when I finally answered, was just as I remembered, sugary sweet, like she was selling something. "Carmen, honey," she cooed, "your stepdad and I saw your post. We're so proud of you."
Proud.
That word stung like a slap. Where was their pride when I was a kid, begging for a scrap of their attention? "Thanks," I managed, my voice barely above a whisper, gripping the edge of my desk to steady myself. "We should celebrate," she went on, her tone bright but hollow.
"Come home this weekend.
"We'll throw a big party, the whole family together. Everyone's dying to see how far you've come."
The whole family.
That meant Jolie, my younger sister, the golden child, who could do no wrong. My throat tightened at the thought. "I'll think about it," I said, already regretting picking up. "Please, honey," she pressed. "It's time to let bygones be bygones, don't you think?" When the call ended, I sat there, staring at the wall, my heart pounding like I'd just run a mile. 8 years. That's how long it had been since I left that house in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, swearing I'd build a life without them. My fingers brushed the medical alert bracelet on my wrist, the one warning about my severe shellfish allergy. An allergy my parents treated like a nuisance, and Jolie turned into a cruel game. My grandmother's words echoed in my head. "Family's not just blood, Carmen. It's who shows up for you." She'd been my real family these past 8 years, the one who got me through college, cheered at my graduation, and never let me feel alone. My mother's "proud of you" felt like a cheap imitation compared to the way my grandmother said it, her eyes shining with love. I glanced at the photo on my desk, me and my grandmother at my Ohio State graduation, her arm around me, both of us beaming. That was pride. Real pride. Not this sudden, convenient interest from my mother, sparked by a social media post. The call dragged up memories I'd buried deep. Memories of a childhood where I was always second best, always invisible next to Jolie. And now, they wanted me back for a party? Something didn't sit right, but a tiny part of me, the part that still remembered being a kid desperate for their approval, wondered if maybe, just maybe, they'd changed. Growing up, I was the shadow to Jolie's spotlight. 4 years younger than me, she was the center of our family's universe from the day she was born. My parents, my mother and stepdad, treated her like a prodigy, their little artist destined for greatness.
Me?
I was the practical one, the one who got hand-me-downs from thrift stores while Jolie pranced around in boutique dresses. Her every doodle was framed and hung on the living room wall. My report cards, straight A's and all, got tossed in a drawer somewhere. I remember my 12th birthday, so clearly it still stings. I'd been eyeing a cheap watercolor set at the craft store, nothing fancy, just something to spark my creativity. Instead, I got a pack of plain notebooks. "You'll need these for school," my mother said, barely looking at me. That same year, Jolie's 8th birthday was a spectacle. A backyard transformed into an art studio wonderland, complete with a hired face painter and a custom cake shaped like a paint palette. Jolie's got real talent. my stepdad would say when relatives raised eyebrows. She needs the right tools to shine. It wasn't just the gifts. It was the way they made me feel, like I was never enough. When I won a regional science fair at 14, I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd notice. Instead, my mother said, "That's nice, Carmen, but did you see Jolie's sketch in the school art show? It's front and center." My grandmother, though, she saw it all. "This isn't right," she'd tell my mother, her voice sharp. "You're raising one child to feel like royalty and the other like she's nothing." My mother would roll her eyes. "Oh, Mom, you don't get it. Jolie's special. Carmen's dependable." Dependable. It wasn't a compliment.
It was their excuse to ignore me.
Jolie learned early how to twist the knife. If she broke a vase, she'd point at me, and my parents bought it every time. If I got upset when she accidentally ruined my homework with paint, she'd cry, and suddenly, I was the villain. Once, she told her friends I was too boring to hang out with, and I spent recess alone, watching them laugh. The worst was when I got into the honor science program at school. Jolie had a bit part in the school play that same week. Guess which one my parents showed up for? I sat in the science lab, clutching my certificate, watching other kids' parents hug them, while mine were clapping for Jolie's 2 lines on stage. Then came the day that changed everything. I was 14, visiting my grandmother's house, when she made me a shrimp salad sandwich, my favorite at the time. I took a big bite, expecting that familiar tangy flavor. Instead, my throat started to close. My chest tightened and I couldn't breathe. I dropped the sandwich, clawing at my neck, panic flooding my senses. My grandmother didn't hesitate. She recognized the signs of anaphylaxis, called 911, and held my hand as the ambulance sped us to the hospital. "Stay with me, sweetheart," she kept saying, her voice steady, but her eyes wide with fear. I don't remember much after that. Just flashes of paramedics and the sting of a needle. My parents showed up at the hospital later, looking more annoyed than worried. My mother tapped her foot as the doctor explained I had a severe shellfish allergy, likely triggered suddenly despite eating shrimp before. "She'll need an EpiPen at all times," the doctor said. "Check every label. Cross-contamination is a real risk." My stepdad nodded, glancing at his phone. My mother sighed, like this was just another chore. In the car ride home, they let their real feelings slip. "This is just great," my mother muttered. "As if we don't have enough on our plate with Jolie's art lessons." My stepdad chimed in. "Why does everything with you have to be so complicated, Carmen?" I pressed myself against the car door, my throat still raw, their words cutting deeper than the allergic reaction. After that, I became hypervigilant. I checked labels obsessively, carried EpiPens everywhere, and never ate anything I didn't prepare myself. My grandmother made sure I had medical alert bracelets and called my school to educate them about my condition. Jolie, of course, turned it into a game. She'd wave shrimp cocktail skewers near me, giggling when I flinched. "Oh, sorry, forgot you're allergic to everything," she'd say, her voice dripping with fake innocence. At family dinners, she'd announce, "Watch out, everyone. Carmen might keel over if she smells fish." The adults would chuckle awkwardly, but my parents never corrected her. If anything, they seemed irritated that my allergy meant extra work for them. The 3 weeks before the party felt like walking on a tightrope. Work kept me busy. New responsibilities as department head meant longer hours, more meetings, and a constant stream of emails. But my phone wouldn't stop buzzing with texts from my family, who'd been ghosts for 8 years. My mother sent daily updates about party plans, caterers, decorations, guest lists, like she was planning the event of the century. Jolie, who hadn't spoken to me since I left home, sent a friend request on Instagram with a message, "Time to move on, sis. Let's be family again." I stared at it, my thumb hovering over accept, but something felt off. My grandmother, over our weekly dinner at her cozy house, was the only one who seemed genuinely excited. "This could be a new start, Carmen," she said, her eyes bright. "I've always wanted our family to heal." I wanted to believe her, but my gut churned with doubt. The day of the party was warm, the kind of Ohio summer day where the air smells like fresh-cut grass. I pulled up to my parents' house, the same brick 2-story I'd grown up in, with its manicured lawn and the old mailbox I used to check for birthday cards that never came. My mother greeted me at the door, her smile too wide, her hug stiff like she was posing for a photo. "Carmen, honey, you're here," she said, her voice practiced. Inside, the house was a time capsule. Jolie's art school diploma framed above the fireplace, her childhood paintings still on every wall. My achievements? Nowhere in sight. The living room buzzed with relatives, cousins, uncles, and Aunt Linda, who gave me a warm hug and whispered, "Proud of you, kid." Her daughter, Vera, 16 and glued to her phone, was filming everything like she was making a vlog. The smell of catered food filled the air, and I noticed every dish was labeled shellfish-free, which surprised me. Maybe they'd actually listen for once. My grandmother pulled me into a tight hug, her familiar lavender scent calming my nerves. "You look radiant, sweetheart," she said. Jolie, lounging in an armchair in a dress that screamed money, barely glanced up from her phone, offering only a quick eye roll when my mother gushed about my promotion. We sat down at a long, decorated table, the kind my parents only pulled out for Jolie's big moments. My mother stood, clinking her glass. "We're thrilled to have everyone here," she began, her smile camera-ready. "We're celebrating Carmen's promotion to department head at Allen and Company." Polite claps followed, but her next words made my stomach twist. "And while we're on the topic of success, let's talk about our Jolie. She graduated with honors from art school, and her talent is just waiting to shine in the corporate world." She paused, her eyes locking on me. "With Carmen's new role, we're hoping she can help Jolie land a spot at Allen and Company. A family looks out for each other, right?" The table went quiet. I felt my grandmother's gaze, sharp and searching. Aunt Linda shifted in her seat, her lips tight. Vera's phone stayed pointed at me, recording every second. My mother's words hung in the air, finally finding her footing, as if I'd been stumbling until now. "Actually," I said, my voice steady despite the heat rising in my chest, "I don't have hiring power. I'm a department head, not the CEO." My mother's smile faltered, but she pressed on. "Surely you have some influence, Carmen." I stood, my chair scraping the floor. "Mom, Stepdad, can we talk in private?" In the kitchen, their fake smiles vanished. "This party was supposed to be about my promotion," I said, keeping my voice low. "Not a job fair for Jolie." My mother's eyes narrowed. "Don't be selfish, Carmen. Jolie needs this. Family helps family." Selfish. The word hit like a punch. 8 years, I said, my voice shaking. "You didn't call for 8 years, and now I'm selfish because I won't pull strings for Jolie?" My stepdad crossed his arms. "We've invested everything in Jolie's future. You're in a position to help her now. It's the least you can do." We returned to the table, the tension thick as fog. The catering staff had served the main course, a creamy chicken dish that looked safe but tasted slightly off, like it had a faint fishy note. I took a few bites, my mind still reeling from the kitchen argument. Then it hit me. My throat tightened, my breath caught. Shellfish. I fumbled for my EpiPen, my hands shaking as I gasped, "There's shrimp in this." The room erupted, chairs scraped, voices shouted. My grandmother's voice cut through the chaos. "Call 911 now." The world blurred, my vision fading as I felt her hands grab mine, her voice pleading, "Hold on, Carmen." Then nothing. I woke to the steady beep of hospital monitors, my throat raw and my body heavy, like I'd been hit by a truck. My grandmother sat beside me, her face etched with worry, her hand clutching mine. "Oh, thank God," she whispered as my eyes fluttered open. "We almost lost you, sweetheart." I tried to speak, but pain shot through my throat. "Don't talk yet," she said softly. "The EpiPen and paramedics got to you just in time, but the doctor said it was one of the worst reactions they've seen." My mind raced, replaying the party, the creamy sauce, the fishy taste, the panic. "The food," I croaked. "They knew about my allergy." Before she could answer, Aunt Linda burst in, her face flushed with anger, followed by Vera, who clutched her phone like it was a lifeline. "Carmen, you need to see this," Linda said, her voice trembling. Vera stepped forward, her usual teenage confidence gone. "I was filming the party," she said quietly. "I caught something when you were in the kitchen with your parents." She handed me her phone, and my stomach churned as the video played. The screen showed the dining room, the camera angled from near the dessert table. I saw myself leave with my mother and stepdad. A moment later, Jolie stood, glanced around, and walked to my plate. She pulled a small jar from her purse, shrimp paste, the label clear as day, and stirred a spoonful into my dish. She sat back down, a smug smile curling her lips, like she'd just pulled off a clever trick. I stared, my heart pounding so hard I thought it'd burst. "That's shrimp paste," Linda said, her voice hard. "Your sister knew about your allergy. She did this on purpose." I replayed the video, unable to look away. Jolie's movements were so casual, so deliberate. That smirk, it wasn't a mistake. It was planned. My grandmother's voice broke the silence, soft and shaking. "She could have killed you, Carmen." I felt a mix of rage and disbelief, like the ground had been ripped out from under me. My own sister. I handed the phone back to Vera, my hands trembling. "Send me that video," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Against the doctor's advice, I checked myself out of the hospital that evening. The video felt like a weight in my pocket as I drove back to my parents' house, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Inside, they were in the living room, acting like nothing had happened. My mother was rearranging flowers, my stepdad was reading the paper, and Jolie was scrolling on her phone, lounging like a queen. "What are you doing here?" Jolie asked, barely glancing up. "Shouldn't you be at the hospital, milking the drama?" "I know what you did," I said, my voice calm but cold. "You put shrimp paste in my food." Jolie's head snapped up, her eyes wide for a split second before she scoffed. "How dare you accuse her?" my mother snapped, jumping to her feet. "You always cause trouble, Carmen." I pulled out my phone, opened the video, and hit play. The room went silent, the only sound Jolie's smug voice on the recording as she stirred the paste into my dish. Her face paled, but then she laughed. "Oh, come on, it was just a joke," she said, shrugging. "You're always so serious." "A joke," I repeated, my voice shaking with fury. "I could have died, Jolie. The doctor said I barely made it." My mother waved a hand, dismissing me. "You're blowing this out of proportion. It was just a bit of fun." Fun. My vision blurred with tears, not of sadness, but of rage. My stepdad's voice cut in, icy and sharp. "If you take this to the police, Carmen, you're done. No inheritance, no family. You'll be out for good." I looked at them, my mother's pinched face, Jolie's smug grin, my stepdad's cold stare, and it hit me. These weren't my family. They never had been. I turned and walked out, my steps steady for the first time that day. In my car, I took a deep breath, the weight of 8 years lifting off my shoulders. I knew what I had to do. I got home that night and sat at my desk, the video still looping in my mind. My hands were steady now, fueled by a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I opened my laptop, uploaded Vera's video to Instagram, and typed out the truth. Today, I learned what family really means. My sister, Jolie, put shrimp paste in my food, knowing I have a life-threatening shellfish allergy. My parents called it a joke. This is the last time I'll call them family. I hit post and shut the laptop, my heart racing but lighter than it had been in hours. The response was instant. My phone lit up with notifications, messages from cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, colleagues from Allen and company, even friends from college. "I'm so sorry, Carmen," one aunt wrote. "This is unforgivable." Another cousin commented, "We're with you. That video says it all." Aunt Linda shared the post with a caption, "Shame on them. Carmen, you're stronger than they'll ever know." My parents fought back, leaving comments calling me a liar, saying I was tearing the family apart. Jolie posted a tearful video, playing the victim, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. But the evidence was clear, and no one was buying their act. The next morning, I walked into the Columbus police station and filed a report against Jolie. The officer watched the video, her face grim. "This is serious," she said. "We'll take it from here." Later that day, a letter arrived from my parents' lawyer. It was official. I was disowned, cut out of their will, erased from their lives. I read it and felt nothing. No pain, no loss. Just relief. They'd made their choice years ago, and now I was free of them. That evening, my grandmother called. "I've spoken to my lawyer," she said, her voice firm but warm. "I'm cutting them off, your mother, your stepdad, Julie. You're my only heir, Carmen. You've always been more my daughter than theirs." I sat on my couch, tears streaming down my face, but they were good tears this time. Messages kept pouring in. Vera texted, "You're still my favorite cousin. Mom says dinner's open at our place anytime." A colleague from work wrote, "You're a rock star, Carmen. We've got your back." Even Ms. Lopez, my boss, sent an email. "Take all the time you need. Your strength is an inspiration." 8 years ago, I'd walked away from a family that made me feel small. Now I was running toward a real one, my grandmother, Aunt Linda, Vera, and the friends who showed up when it mattered. I wasn't alone anymore. Sometimes, the family you're born into isn't the one you're meant to keep. Sometimes you build your own, piece by piece, with the people who see you, love you, and fight for you. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through pain, betrayal, and the kind of strength I didn't know I had. If this story hit you in the heart, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every story we share is about fighting for what's right, finding your people, and building a life that's yours. Keep chasing your truth, and I'll see you in the next one.